He wasn't the loudest person around. He wasn't the flashiest either. But when Misfit Garage was getting popular and crazy, Thomas Weeks quietly became the heart of the show. He was the steady builder who never let his big ego get in the way of good welding work. He was the calm person when everything else was wild. He was the guy who kept quiet and kept the car projects moving while everyone else was yelling at the camera. And then he just disappeared. There was no big goodbye, no final car build, no statement to the public. One day, Misfit Garage showed what would be its last episode, and Thomas was gone. Fans were left asking what happened. This wasn't just any TV person. Thomas was loved by fans. He was a man with an old-fashioned spirit, a deep love for classic muscle cars, and a straight-talking personality that was very different from the flashy, crazy world of the Gas Monkey Garage empire he left behind. He didn't try to be famous. He didn't create drama. He built cars, that's it. And that's what made him disappearing feel so weird. How does someone who helped start one of Discovery's most talked-about car show spin-offs just vanish like he was never there? Why did Misfit Garage end so quickly? And why did Thomas, someone who seemed perfect for being on a garage show, choose to leave it all? There are rumors, theories, and small pieces of the truth scattered around. But to understand what really happened to Thomas Weeks, we need to go back in time. Before the spin-off show, before the tension and arguments, before the cameras even started filming, back to the Gas Monkey Garage days where everything began. Because this isn't just a story about a TV show ending. It's about a car builder walking away from the TV machine and what that choice cost him, and maybe what it saved him from. Before all the chaos of Misfit Garage, before the falling out and the silence, Thomas Weeks was just another guy working with tools in a Texas garage. And then Fast and Loud happened. Thomas showed up for the first time as part of the early Gas Monkey Garage team. To fans of the show, he was a breath of fresh air. While the camera usually followed Richard Rawlings with his high-energy personality and business-comes-first attitude, Thomas brought something different to the table, a deep love for building cars, a builder's way of thinking, and an unmistakable old-school Texas personality. He wasn't there to get high ratings or fight with big egos. He was there for the cars, plain and simple. He specialized in American muscle cars from the 1960s and 1970s. Thomas had a special love for Camaros, Chevelles, and Mopars. He could tell you engine facts and body panel sizes from his memory. While Richard made deals and shouted orders, Thomas was in the back, quietly making impossible things happen, even with tight deadlines. But behind the scenes there was tension building up. Thomas's relaxed, hands-on way of working didn't always fit with Richard's fast-paced, brand-focused empire. Rawlings was always pushing the Gas Monkey image, turning the garage into a big marketing machine. Thomas, on the other hand, just wanted to build great cars. He didn't care about selling merchandise or appearing in media, and that difference started to become obvious. There were rumors of disagreements about build quality, creative choices, and camera time. Nothing dramatic happened on screen, but there was just enough friction that fans started asking, why isn't Thomas in more episodes? And then, just like that, he was gone. No announcement, no drama-filled exit, just a quiet disappearance from the show. But that disappearance was just the start of something new. Because Thomas wasn't done with cars, he was just getting started, somewhere else, away from Gas Monkey. When Thomas Weeks and Tom Smith were fired from Fast and Loud, it wasn't just a cast change, it was the start of something nobody expected to happen. A full-blown rebellion against the old show. In 2014, just months after they left, Discovery gave the green light to a spin-off show. It was called Misfit Garage. The name really fit perfectly. It was a not-so-subtle middle finger to the polished branded empire they had just been kicked out of. Thomas and Tom joined together to launch Fired Up Garage, and suddenly the Misfits were back on screen with their own shop, their own show, and their own rules to follow. Or so they thought at first. Misfit Garage wasn't supposed to be another Fast and Loud copy. It was rawer, less scripted, and way more chaotic and messy. There were arguments, broken parts, missed deadlines, and last-minute paint jobs happening all the time. But behind all the craziness, There was heart and soul, and that heart was Thomas Weeks himself. While Tom Smith brought the humor and the madness to the show, Thomas kept the show grounded with real craftsmanship and skill. He took every car build seriously, obsessing over body lines, frame alignments, and engine setups. He was the technician, the quiet leader, the one who reminded viewers this wasn't just for TV entertainment. This was real car building. But that authenticity and realness came at a cost to Thomas. From the very start, there were battles happening behind the scenes. Discovery wanted high ratings. That meant more drama, faster car builds, bigger personalities, and tighter schedules to follow. The reality of reality TV started to squeeze and pressure the crew. Budgets were really tight. Deadlines were completely unrealistic to meet. And Thomas, who had left Gas Monkey to escape that exact pressure, was now staring at it in the face again. Still, Misfit Garage had found its loyal fans who loved the show. People loved the underdog energy, the imperfection, and the grit of it all. But the cracks in the foundation were forming and growing, and as the seasons kept rolling on, Thomas seemed quieter, more withdrawn, and less hungry for camera time. He was building cars, but he wasn't smiling anymore. Something was changing inside him, and the end was coming soon. If Fast and Loud was a well-oiled machine, Misfit Garage was a flaming muscle car held together with zip ties and prayers to stay running. But that was part of its charm and appeal. Misfit Garage wasn't polished and perfect. It wasn't perfect at all, and that's exactly why viewers loved watching it. It felt real and authentic, like the shop down your street where your buddy still owed you money for parts, and the shop cat walked through Bondo dust on the floor. It was unpredictable, dysfunctional, and oddly addictive to watch. At the center of all that madness was Thomas Weeks doing his work. While Tom Smith played the chaotic wildcard character, Thomas was the quiet operator, always trying to keep the car builds on track and moving forward. But with every new episode that aired, the tension became harder and harder to hide from viewers. Schedules were rushed and cramped. Parts didn't arrive on time like they should. Deadlines loomed over them like heavy anvils about to drop. Discovery producers kept pushing for more TV moments, more breakdowns, more yelling, and more spectacle for entertainment. But Thomas wasn't that kind of guy at all. He didn't throw tools across the room. He didn't flip tables in anger. He just kept building cars until the pressure started to take its toll on him mentally. Midway through the show's run on TV, fans noticed a big shift in Thomas. He began pulling back from the spotlight. He had fewer one-on-one scenes with the camera. He didn't joke around and banter as much as before. The joy seemed to fade away from his eyes completely. The show, which once was a passion project he loved, had become just another production line to follow. And then the show ended without warning. No announcement from anyone, no official finale episode, no wrap-up episode for closure. One season quietly faded into reruns on TV, and Misfit Garage was just gone from the air. Thomas didn't make any statement to fans or media. He didn't trash-talk the network publicly. He just vanished from the public eye. No interviews given, no shop updates posted, no new show announced, just complete silence from him. And in that silence, the big question grew louder and louder in fans' minds. What happened to Thomas Weeks, and where did he go? One moment, Misfit Garage was running full speed ahead, and the next moment, there was nothing at all. There was no final car build, no teary goodbye scene, no grand finale where the team shut the garage doors and rode off into the sunset together. The show didn't end with a big bang or explosion. It just stopped airing without explanation. Discovery Channel never made any announcement about it ending. Fans waited and waited for a new season that never came to TV. Weeks turned into long months of waiting. Social media activity slowed to almost nothing. Thomas Weeks, once a familiar face in millions of living rooms across America, was suddenly nowhere to be found by anyone. No press release was sent out, no interviews were given, not even a quiet Facebook post from Thomas explaining why he took a break. It was as if the curtain dropped right in the middle of the play, and the actors simply walked off the stage without saying a single word to the audience. But that silence said more than any big headline ever could have said. To those people paying close attention, there were warning signs before it all happened. Thomas had started looking really tired on camera. The spark he once had while talking about old-school Detroit iron cars seemed to fade away slowly. The joy of working on the builds turned into visible tension behind his eyes. His screen time on the show shrank smaller and smaller. He rarely joked around like he used to do before. Behind the scenes, rumors started swirling around. Some insiders claimed the production had become way too chaotic, too focused on creating conflict instead of craft and skill. Others said Discovery was slashing budgets hard, cutting corners everywhere, and forcing drama into a show that was never supposed to be about theatrics and acting, just about building cars. And for a guy like Thomas, who lived and breathed the real garage life every day, that kind of environment was completely toxic to his soul. So when the cameras finally stopped rolling for good, he didn't protest the decision. He didn't fight for more seasons to be made. He simply walked away from it all. But the fans didn't forget about him at all. They kept asking the same questions. Where is Thomas now? What is he working on these days? And slowly but surely, the truth began to surface and come out. Not on TV screens, but back where it all originally started for him, in the garage working on cars. After Misfit Garage faded into complete silence, Thomas Weeks didn't chase after a comeback to TV. He didn't start a podcast to talk about his experiences. He didn't join another reality show for money. He went back to what he has always been deep inside, a car builder. Tucked away somewhere in Texas, far away from the bright lights of TV studios and the chaos of network deadlines to meet, Thomas returned to his roots and what he loved. He opened up a small custom car shop, not for publicity or attention, not for creating content, but purely for the love of building cars. A place where the only deadlines were the ones that actually mattered to him, and the only drama came from stubborn bolts and misfit parts that wouldn't cooperate. His clients were loyal to him, but stayed quiet about it. Most of them were long-time collectors, hot rod enthusiasts, or small-town gearheads who just wanted their dream car builds done the right way. No one in the shop was holding a boom microphone over their heads. No one was yelling cut between takes. It was just Thomas, some tools he trusted, and the unmistakable smell of gasoline and metal filling the air. He worked primarily on American classic cars from the golden era of muscle. Cars from the 1960s and 1970s, like Camaros, Chevelles, Roadrunners and Darts. Cars that had soul and character. Cars with real history behind them. The kind of cars you don't rush through just to make an air date for TV, and Thomas didn't rush through anything anymore. He kept things really low-key and private. No big Instagram reveals of his work, no live streams for fans, no YouTube channel trying to ride the algorithm wave for views. Most fans didn't even know the shop's actual name because that wasn't the point for Thomas. For him, walking away from TV wasn't a failure in his life. It was complete freedom to do what he loved. The camera gave him exposure and fame, but it also took something important from him. The quiet satisfaction of a job done exactly right, without noise, without crazy timelines, without compromise on quality. He got that precious feeling back the moment the cameras left his life. And that's where he has been ever since he left, working on cars not for attention or likes, but for leaving behind a real legacy. In the empty void that followed Misfit Garage's disappearance from TV, speculation took over everywhere. Some fans wondered if Thomas had gone completely broke financially. Others claimed he had had a falling out with Discovery Channel over money or creative control issues. A few people whispered about health concerns or personal setbacks in his life. But the real truth, according to those people closest to him, is more complex and more human than rumors. Thomas was completely burned out from the experience. Years and years of tight deadlines, of being told to add more drama to scenes, of sacrificing quality for air dates, it all wore him down mentally and physically. What started as a passion for cars became a performance for cameras. What was once about craft and skill had become all about conflict and fighting. And the show's chaotic format wasn't just exhausting to deal with every day. It was draining his love for the very thing that had brought him to TV in the first place, building cars. He didn't just walk away from a TV show. He walked away from an entire system that stopped valuing what made him special and unique. And even when opportunities came knocking later, offers to do new shows, digital spin-offs, even branded content deals,